Good. How are you?
Yeah. So far, so good.
Good, man. I just wanted to bring up, and without being interrupted, I want to bring up about three, 4 points. Two or three
Well,
being.
hold on. I know you say you don't want to be interrupted, but I mean, come on, man. This is the shotgun method. When you throw so much stuff out there, I can't respond to it. It looks like if I try to respond to one, three, or one, two, and four, then it looks like I forgot three, and then it look like I don't know what I'm talking about.
I see.
So, are you going to allow
I'll
me to
list.
contend with them?
I'll list two examples of like in the past decade, these animals have evolved in a certain way.
Okay. Okay.
So tuskless elephants are being born at a rapid rate because of ivory hunting. You can look this up. This is true. The Hawaiian cricket lost their sound, becoming silent because of an invasive parasitic fly that was introduced to Hawaii. So I'll just stop right there without bringing up some other points I have. But just by
Yeah.
that,
You've been in
I'm
here
just
long enough to
curious.
know. Sure, but you've been in here long enough now to hear me say that degradation is not evolution, brother.
Can you
That's
describe
literally losing it.
degradation?
Yeah, you just say that the elephants are losing their tusk. That's not information gain. They're clearly losing something.
What's degradation? Sorry, I must have a false.
Degrading, losing, degrading. Look, losing information. You're degrading.
Okay, I see that. Okay, what
Yeah,
about apes using like stone tools? Now we see orangutans, chimpanzees going to war. You can look this up. There's a little chimpanzee war
yeah,
going on. We see
yeah.
orangutans
I've seen them.
spears. Like this has never been documented before. We see them using plant medicines. How is that not a at least mind evolution?
Yeah, so I don't know that it just because it's never been documented before doesn't mean that they wasn't doing it ahead of time. And then two, when they use these things, you're talking about they use spears. They're not actually catching any fish. They don't get the concept of it. If I'm not mistaken, from correct me if I'm wrong. It's not something that I've studied deeply, but from what I understand, is they saw man using spears and then get fish. So they understand stick and fish, but they can't put it together. So they don't know how to get the fish from the stick.
Now this is a big one for me. Wolves, now their closest relative to the modern dog breed is the Chihuahua. And we know that there's been many, many breeds of dogs that have died out even in the past 200 years. So I'm very curious because wolves have become all these dog breeds that you know today. Do you not believe that, or what's your take?
Yeah, that's micro. Yeah, that's
How
microevolution.
do
You
you think
took
that's
they took
micro?
trait because, for example, like to take the wolf and get it to Chihuahua, then you take the two wolves, and this is how you do it, right? You take two wolves that are the smallest, right? Out of a wolf puppy breed, you take the smallest wolves, and you only allow them to mate with the smallest. And then out of their puppies, the smallest of them, you only allow them to mate with other small. And then out of the smallest of them, you're taking the trait of short legs and you're encouraging that trait, right?
But it seems
So
like
there's no new information in that. You're literally taking existing information and you're making it work out or you're discouraging it, right? And they're literally losing information, right? The Chihuahua is not superior to the wolf. It did not gain any
correct.
information. And there's lots of traits that you had to lose in an effort to get to the Chihuahua. Now you can take a trait and get more of the same trait. For example, you can take the wolf and you can do tests on the wolves and put some scents out and get the wolves, hide some honey buns in some leaves or something, and then the wolves that are able to find the honey buns the easiest, the fastest, have the greatest sense of smell. They probably have really strong receptors in their nose. You can only allow them to mate with other wolves that have really strong receptors in their nose. And eventually you will get a bloodhound out of that. But the trait of smelling or having the receptors to smell good was already there. There's no new information in that. You took the receptor gene that already existed and you made it work out. I believe in that, but that's not new information.
But I almost feel like that could apply to almost any animal, as you see all these birds develop different beak styles from like
Yeah, it
continent
does.
to continent, and we can discover through their blood and DNA that they are somewhat related, if not almost the same bird. But it's just interesting. But I really do like your points because I
Thank you,
honestly
man.
don't think you're going to be able to fight these. I will say with microevolution, I don't know how I feel about that. I just think like an entire species of insect losing its sound to not get attacked by a parasitic fly that's invasive to Hawaii, that does help them. And that is a sign
Well,
that
yeah.
they completely changed. They grew smaller wings so they wouldn't make a sound. So
Well, they didn't.
they literally
They changed,
that is
but they didn't gain
evolution.
any information.
But that
Okay, but
is
part of their
evolution.
okay, so you claim that that's evolution, and I understand evolution claims that it's evolution, but if we're evolutionists claim that, but if we're being intellectually honest, the math ain't mathin', brother. If I ask you like let's don't take this as condescending, but it helps put it in their perspective, right? Teacher, how did we get here? Well, little Johnny, we all started off as a single-celled organism, and then we lost everything, and that's why we're here today. Clearly, it doesn't make any sense, right? You can't keep showing me examples of degradation and then claim that we went from a single-celled organism to a fully functional human, and every time I ask for evidence, you show me something losing information, right? Eventually, you need to show me some gain here. And the cricket. So what happened is you'll have a cricket that, and I don't know this specific example, if this is true or not, but I would make a prediction, and I might be wrong, but we'll see.
Google if you don't
So
believe.
you might have. No, I'm not saying I don't believe you. I'm saying I don't know if this is how it happened, but I'm gonna make a prediction, right? You might have a 1 in 1,000 crickets that have inferior wings. It's if I'm not mistaken, it's their back legs that rub up against it, right? Or it's their anyway. However it
Correct. It's
happens,
like their hind legs rub up against their
Yeah.
wings and it creates a frequency.
right? So their wings were inferior because 1 in a million crickets were born with subpar wings, meaning they had a problem where their wings didn't fully develop.
But
Well,
it was to
all of the
counteract
other
this non-native fly, as Hawaii is one of the strictest places when it comes to what seeds and plants are coming in.
I understand that. I understand that, brother. But here's my
Never
point.
dealt
So
with this, and it only happened when they needed it.
but
to
they
happen.
did not. I know, but they didn't evolve a new mechanism to deal with the flies. They literally lost the ability for their wings to connect to their legs because their wings are inferior. So you get 1 in a million cricket that has shriveled up wings, right? Now, normally this would die in the population because it can't sing a song for its mate to go mate with it, right? So normally these things would get outbred because the female cricket is going to look at it and go, I don't want him because he can't sing the song that I want. Unfortunately, all of the good crickets unalived, and the only ones that the parasitic fly cannot eat are the ones that can't make any sound. They're not evolving.
That's a
They're
very
just
interesting
surviving
perspective.
because it killed all the good ones.
That's an interesting perspective. All right, well, that's all I got to say here. I do.
All right, man. Well,
appreciate
listen.
your time, man. I
Yeah,
really
man.
do.
Thanks. Before you roll out, with people, I like to have good conversations, and maybe you already answered this earlier, and because I know you've been here once. But what do you know about Jesus, man? Because my whole purpose in this is trying to strengthen the faith of the Christians,
Man,
and or if you're not saved, I want to get you saved.
So I have a pretty long story, but I'll make it short. I grew up Catholic. I went to Catholic school until I was a sophomore in high school, and I always had doubts, man. But I'm very agnostic, and I pray, and I want to believe. That's something I tell people all the time. I want to believe. I want to believe. I really want to believe. But with the evidence and just the way my mind works, I just don't see that being the best possibility of at least the Christian God.
Well, you're an analytical person, and I respect that. I am. That's why I talk about science all the time. I'm very analytical. So, with that being said, I'm not going to beat you over the head with it, but I would like to be the one that helps share Christ with you and bring you back if I could be. So, give me a follow. And I would encourage you to look up the study of textual criticism. And I think if you put that same analytical process that you use when evaluating evolution and the answers that you've given in here, and you can contend with the argument, I think if you take that same mindset and put it towards textual criticism, I think you'll see that the Bible is literally true and scientifically accurate. And
Well,
I think
give
you'll
you
come
a
back home,
follow.
brother.
I'm not gonna
Appreciate
lie. I'm a blue collar worker. I had a 14-hour long day. I'm ready to kind of hit the hay and chill.
Yeah, man. I appreciate it.
Hop out. I appreciate
All right,
it.
man. God bless.
Follow, though.
Yes, sir. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Of course.
All right, all right. Hey, y'all. What's up?
Hey, sorry. This is
You're
literally my second time I've ever been on a live, but I love the whole conversation. You're very articulate. I'm enjoying this. Like all the things.